Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Donnie Glover. Thank you for joining us here on the BlackUSA.News morning show. Gonna be a little warm today. Lord have mercy. Yes, it is. Woo! I hope that you are doing well. Okay, so I'm thinking back on some comments. We got Bobby Marvin who should be joining us momentarily. I'm thinking back to some comments I saw. I made a post, and it had to do with the murders, the shootings in Baltimore. And it went something like, given that we know where the murders keep happening, just like with Freddie Gray, we know Penn North back in 2015 was the epicenter of international media attention. The whole world knew about Penn North. Journalists from around the country were coming. When they got to Penn North, they asked themselves, where did they thought the rioters had made all of those houses up at Penn North abandoned. You just laying on the ground, you looking around, you're like, damn, did the riot do this? No, that's how it normally is. That's how it normally is. So the same with the murders. You know where the damage is. So why haven't our leaders flooded these neighborhoods with resources? That's it. If you know where the murders are, and you know these are neglected areas, then why aren't we invested in these areas? Can anybody tell me? I don't get that part. I just don't get that part. The murders happen in East Baltimore, they happen in West Baltimore. It just seems that at some point we should be able to, I understand putting police there. I get that. That's the whole, we're going to put police here. I get all of that. But how about some resources? Quite often, these are neighborhoods where schools have been closed. So you got murders, you got closed schools, you got food deserts. It's all the same area. And if the people in Fells Point don't want Black people coming down to acting a fool, that should be all the more motivation to put resources in areas like Penn North. But anyway, our guest has joined us. Let me tell you about this young man. He's been in media, heck, I guess Bobby got about 15 years or so now. A little old man. And you got to admire his heart and his tenacity and his commitment. And that's why he's on the show. He even said, check this out, y'all, that when they make a movie about me, he's going to play Donnie Glover. I find that just be mind-boggling. Bobby Marvin, how you living?
What's going on, good brother? How you feel?
Hey, look here, I sent the email to 3 different email addresses. One of them kicked back. And so, like your phone number, I don't know. I ain't got your most recent email address.
You got all my info, Donnie. You know I get in contact with me.
So did you get the email?
Yeah, I got it.
See, you ain't
no,
got
wait a minute. No, I did. I got your text message. Correction. I got your text message. I had to send the link to myself.
Okay, so you don't have Hugh Voice's email address no more.
No, sir.
Okay, it's not my fault. Hey, that's what I remember. That was your first venture. Hugh Voices.
Absolutely. That's what started it all. Absolutely.
All right. Well, tell them who you are. I'm gonna go wipe my face. I'm sweating like a Hebrew pharaoh.
Hey, folks, I'm Bobby Marvin Holmes, founder of Son of a Dream, an agency that supports the healthy development and success of children, youth, and families. I primarily work in Baltimore. as a social worker, offering a variety of different services, partnering up with schools, organizations, programs to offer workshops, as well as publish resources, multimedia resources, such as books and films. I also have my own podcast, Hugh Voices Podcast, which Donnie briefly mentioned. And that's what I'm all about. What Donnie was just talking about: Black children, youth, and families, and doing all we can to support Black children, youth, and families, and challenging systems and folks who tend to not prioritize Black children, youth, and families, particularly in our beloved Baltimore.
You grew up with some of these people who are now in office. When I first met you, you were a little green to the political system, but
yeah,
I'd love to hear your thoughts on this new cadre of millennial leaders, because when you and I first linked up, has it been 15 years or so?
Pretty much about that, man. Correction though, because I know you are a huge historian. You have appreciation for history. I started my media career as a student journalist in 2001, writing for Baltimore City Community College newspaper, The Crier. So that's where I got my start, and it went on from there. And then 2008, I started with my mentor, Roderick C. Willis, who was an Afro reporter at the time. I got to pay respect to the elders, and folks like yourself who mentored me. You, Roderick C. Willis, Frank Brown. You all were my media mentors. You all
I
helped me.
haven't heard that name in a while, Rod Willis.
Hey, he the one is responsible for me being who I am today in terms of the professional. He's the one who had a hand in, as well as you and folks like Frank Brown. Y'all taught me how to develop my career. Rod Willis he in Prince George's County. He in Prince George's County, being a granddad, still doing his thing.
And you mentioned Frank Brown.
Frank Brown, former professor at Morgan State University. He's now teaching out of a college in California. But yeah, Frank Brown, former editor of YSB magazine.
I know that name.
YSB, yeah, popular Black youth magazine in the 1990s. YSB magazine. He was the former editor, national publication back in the 90s. So when I was at Morgan State University, he was one of my professors.
And what did you learn from these mentors?
The grit, man. This in terms of, for one, validated my confidence to go out here in the world and navigate Baltimore and other spaces as a media professional, right? And as an entrepreneur, more so. My media experience was very unorthodox. I was not trained like other media professionals. I wasn't orientated or socialized like other media professionals.
What does that mean?
Huh?
What does that mean?
I'm about to tell you. I was taught to develop your own and go out and make a name for yourself with what you develop, your own platform. Roderick Willis instilled that in me. You instilled that in me, as well as Frank Brown. I wasn't taught to just go out and get a job and work for someone else.
Thank you.
I was taught the power of entrepreneurship and that the importance of Black business. That's what I was taught. That's what you all taught me. And that's why I carry on to this day.
You got to watch this Bobby Marvin. He's as slippery as a can of oil. Gets all up in your feelings. Okay, so let's talk about that. You have an association out here, and I appreciate your words, but you only told the truth. You have an association out here for Black journalists.
Mm-hmm. Right.
NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. And when students go to Morgan State University, that's your school.
Yes, yes, it is.
When the students go to Coppin,
Or
Howard,
Howard, yep.
Morehouse, Hampton, there's always this push to get our Black students to become members of the National Association of Black Journalists. And the primary focus is a job.
Yep.
But there's also an organization called the National Newspaper Publishers Association.
Yes. Yes.
And this is a group of all of the publishers of Black newspapers and other outlets around the country, which is more my speed.
Absolutely.
Are you a member of NABJ?
No. I was a member years ago, but not anymore.
What changed? And this is no slight on NABJ.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. You know, and you know, to your point, I understand.
Can I say something? There are two distinct paths in journalism. You're either looking for a job or you're creating your own and creating opportunities for others.
Right.
I wrote for other newspapers, but I was born the son, the grandson of an entrepreneur. And so when I started selling ads in the Sandtown newspaper and started seeing the money, I said, well, especially as Sandtown was going out of business back then, that I need my own news outlet so I can go. I saw that businesses wanted to get their message out there. And hey, I can make $50 here, $100 there, $200 there. I like this and I'm doing what I love to do. So I'll never forget this. And I got to share this last thing. I'll never forget when this lady who was a high-ranking member of NABJ, she was down in Florida. She pulled me to the side. You remember me telling you?
Yeah, I remember this conversation.
She said, how much do you make? Because like you know, you're taking a new path. Not a lot of Frank Browns, not a lot of Rod Willis's out here. I love that about Rod too, the entrepreneurship. Work for somebody else, but have your own thing. I had too much of that in me. But when she, big time editor, Miami newspaper, asking me, how much do you make? I said, aha. I'm on to something. Right. With it. Because we have something working for yourself. You have a freedom. You have a freedom you will never have. As an employee. I defer to you, Mr. Bobby Marvin.
Absolutely. I remember that story. And the things you say to me still resonates today. Way back when. And those little conversations and those quotes that you will share, you know, if it's your own, no one can take it from you. That was very clear to me. And the more I continued my journey as an entrepreneur, I understood that when it's your own, no one can take it from you. So really, not just it's not just wealth is important, of course, but wasn't just about building wealth, but also having a platform to tell our stories. Where oftentimes that goes unheard. That was the necessity of the Black newspaper to begin with. You know, that's why we need the Afro. That's why we need the Chicago Defender and so many other Black publications, historical Black publications across this nation. That's why those publications were needed, because we needed someone to tell our stories. No one was telling our stories about Black folks being lynched, Black folks being killed in back alleys or out in the woods somewhere. No one was telling our stories. So we needed Black publications. We needed Black journalists like Ida B. Wells to tell our stories and to get our stories out there and to challenge the narrative that's been perpetuated throughout mainstream media about Black folks. So the narrative is important. That's who we are. You rob a people of their narrative, you rob them of their identity. So with that said, you know, I understood the importance. I understood how special it was to be a black writer, a black journalist, not a journalist that happened to be black, but a black journalist. As I go today, not this year, actually September will mark 20 years of me being a journalist. Since 2001, when I started at the Baltimore City Community College, writing for the Crier. Then moving on to Morgan's Spokesman newspaper, and then eventually having my own entities and writing for the Afro, writing for the Baltimore Times, historically black newspapers in Baltimore. I mean, it's in my DNA. It's how I was raised. So when you talk about this work and the need for our platforms, I know it very well because I was taught and I learned from the people who was doing it.
Are you still writing?
Of course I am. Before I got on with you, I was working on my my third book.
Tell us about your books.
Yes, first book that I wrote, released in 2015, was a children's book. It's about my experience as a single dad with my oldest daughter. Some of the things I would try to instill in her, validating who she was as a black girl, exposing her to different experiences. So I wrote a book about it, called Casey's Day with Daddy. My second book, released in 2017, was for 11-year-olds to 17-year-old black boys. It's called 100 Real Talk for Our Boys. It's a collection of poems and personal essays about my experiences growing up, my experiences as a man, and I wanted to share those experiences with other black boys. I dedicated, yeah, you were definitely one of the, I thanked you in the book. One of the people that, yeah, your name Donnie is in the book. I thanked you in the book. Matter of fact, book is right here. I'll read it to you. This book is dedicated to my father, Chris, who stepped in and raised me since I was a little boy, to the men who mentored me over the years, Rod, Brooks, and Wanchi, Frank, Donnie, and David, and to all the young brothers I mentored, taught, supported, or encouraged over the years. All of you are responsible for contributing to the man I am today. Thank you.
What's David?
Huh? David Miller. David is the founder. David, as you know, Donnie, he's one of my OGs. When you talk about doing work with black boys and working with families in Baltimore, and you know, he does it all over the place, all over the globe. But David is one of my mentors in that lane, in that realm, with mentoring and supporting black boys and families. He's the OG. A lot of brothers my age in Baltimore that's doing his work have a lot of respect for David Miller. Matter of fact, it was you're the one that connected me to him years ago in 2008. You're the one that connected me to him and told me to go interview David when he had Urban Leadership Institute. Yes, you're the one that introduced me to David Miller. See how it comes full circle?
So let's hear one of them poems out the book.
Sure. Let me see. I'm gonna read this one that I think you would appreciate. It's called Black Boys Read. You want to hide something from a black man, you put it in the book. He can't read, so he rob, and you label him a crook. This is the recipe. Now watch it cook. A menu cut from the city budget, and that's all it took. Standing in front of class, he didn't have the nerve. Mama couldn't help him because she was getting served. A dream deferred because he couldn't read one word. Dodging prison now comes with a learning curve. Label special need until he'll never succeed. A nightmare in the making if only that black boy could read. Before Ralph Ellison wrote The Invisible Man, courtesy of Uncle Sam, he had shackles on our feet and our hands. It's real out here when you African. No safe haven for the kids we raising. Somebody pray for Natasha and Nathan when the guns start blazing. This is the end result of a poor education. I'm trying to plant seeds, so please take heed. Black boys should read. Before we were ratchet, it was havoc, middle passage, bodies flipping over ships backwards, Emmett Till's open casket. The pain is hard to mask it, but they call us savage. First the plantation, then the black codes locked us up for not working on the land that was stole. Freedom was the biggest lie ever told. U.S. capitalism was simply packaged and sold. We had to learn our ABCs to take care of our needs. Ain't hard to believe, black boys just gotta read. We undisputed. In 68, we screamed, cried, and rebuked it. They tried to mute it, so we put it in rap music. Fast forward to the 80s, they called us crack babies. Start a war on drugs and let the police go crazy. No money left in the budget, so we left to bleed. Closed jails and open books is what we need. This is survival. Black boys read.
Mr. Bobby Marvin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so you have 3 books now.
Yeah, yeah. No, working on the third one. Working on the third one, being released later this year. Later this year, I'll release the third book.
What inspired you to publish books?
Again, gotta tell our stories. Gotta tell our stories. You know, David has been on me for years to write a book. David's on everybody. David on everybody's back to write a book. But you know, Donnie, it's nothing new. It's just a new platform. You know, just like newspapers, just like the online work, we gotta tell our stories. Just like the radio, we gotta tell our stories. We gotta uplift our voices. You know, I'm going to be gone one day. That's the reality. So this is what I keep behind.
Well, who have you mentored? Who's the next Bobby Marvin?
You got a few of them in the works. I'm definitely proud and shout out to the young brother Ethan Stevenson, who just graduated this week. One of the young brothers I contributed to. I can't say that, you know, I say most of it goes to his mom, Lanice Stevenson. She's awesome. Shout out to the big sis. But I'm proud of Ethan and what he's been able to accomplish. And big shout out to him. Definitely a big shout out to Ross Tahuti, Missouri. A shout out to Daniel Brogdon, and a rest in peace, a rest in power to my mentee that I lost in 2019, Rennie Milligan. Forever Rennie.
So didn't you make a movie?
Yes. I have 3 documentaries. And I would say 2013, Live Youngblood. My partner Justin Gladden and I, he co-directed and co-produced these documentary films with me, passing the ball. And you know, definitely he is the I guess you could say the Shaq to my Kobe, if you will. But you know, Justin, he's Kobe in himself, man. Awesome photographer, awesome videographer, awesome filmmaker.
Is he in Baltimore still?
Yes, he is. You know, Turtle Tank Media, that's the name of his company. Still working and telling stories. But Justin and I were working on projects, film content for my blog, Hugh Voices. At the time, Hugh Voices was a multimedia blog. And we were covering a lot of stories in 2011, 2012 about issues impacting youth. So at the end of the year, you know, we're talking about projects that's coming up that we want to do. I said I wanted to do a book, which is, you know, 100, what I just read excerpt from. I wanted to do a book. You know, Justin said I want to do a film. So I said, okay, all right. You know, I said, let me think about that. And I said, you know what, we've been really doubling down on covering issues in Baltimore about youth. Why not do a film? Why not do a long form piece about this issue? So 2013, we began our journey. No, excuse me, was it 2011? We began our journey. Excuse me, I'm getting my dates wrong. And we released the film in 2013. So it was it took about 3 years to release that project. We just took our time, and some of Baltimore's greatest heroes, Baltimore's, you know, I would say men who made a tremendous impact in Baltimore, such as Cameron Miles, another OG that, you know, brothers like myself respect. Calvin Ford from Upton Boxing Center impacted a lot of youth in the city of Baltimore. So they're featured in the film, as well as their mentees, Javante Tank Davis, as well as Imhotep Sema, Imhotep, who I'm extremely proud of. Another young brother that it wasn't just a one-off, Donnie. I didn't just feature him in my film and say, all right, you take it easy. I maintained in contact with his brother until I showed up at his Coppin State graduation. And supported him when he was becoming a young father as well. He went off, into the world and joined Peace Corps and supported people in Ecuador, I believe, and came back to Baltimore. And he continues to do awesome, make an impact in the lives of Black boys in Baltimore. So from then on, 2015, I released For Him I Will, about single moms raising boys. Three moms share traumatic experiences in their lives, and how it influenced their raising of Black boys. So I released that in 2015. And 2016, I released a follow-up to Live Young Blood, Free Young Blood, combating the mass incarceration of Black males. Just exploring the criminal justice system's impact on Black men in Baltimore and other places across our country. So yeah, that's just been rocking and rolling. Again, Donnie, it's nothing new. Since the time that you met me and the stories we were covering when I was doing Hue Voices, just continuing on the work I've been doing since I started in the very beginning. The podcast and the films and the books is just an extension of that work.
So what did you learn in the filmmaking process?
The importance of preparation. The work is done in pre-production. The work is done in pre-production. Doing your research, calling up folks, doing pre-production interviews, hearing what they have to say and what they have to offer. You know, not just showing up and saying, all right, talk. But you already know what I remember a tip that you told me that when it comes to interviewing, you taught me that you always know what they're going to say before they say it. Like you interview like a lawyer. You ask the questions you already know the answer to. You taught me that. I remember that tip. So you know that's something that I that stuck with me.
The trade secrets out. Hey,
Is this the truth? Is this the truth? I'm showing you what I learned. I'm showing you what I learned. I was a good student. But you know, that's one of the things that I had to keep in mind when it came to the filmmaking piece, just preparation, spending that time doing my due diligence, just really figuring out who's saying what, who are the best people to speak on this issue, and how do I really tell this story the way it needs to be told.
What'd you learn about time and money as it relates to filmmaking?
Oh my God, man. Well, first of all, you know, Donnie, I approach filmmaking projects the same way I approach anything else. Justin and I knew early on, and particularly me, I wasn't waiting for anyone to fund my projects. I'll be waiting forever. You know, Hollywood and everyone else, major production companies, even now, with the popularity of Netflix and Hulu and all these other streaming platforms, they decide what type of content they want and what type of content is suitable for that platform. And I'm not big on asking folks, and I'm not big on waiting for folks to do anything for me. So all of our projects, we funded out of pocket. Free Young Blood, we not only shot in Baltimore, we shot in Washington, D.C., we shot in New York, we shot in Philly, and we shot in Milwaukee. Again, our own dime for travel, hotel, food, all of that stuff. You know, we came out our own pockets to make Free Young Blood happen. And, you know, that's what I'm used to, Donnie. I'm used to funding my own projects, and I get my money on the back end when I go out and do screenings and so forth. That's how I get my money. I get my money on the back end. But that was my focus early on. Like I'm not gonna wait 2, 3, 4. You got filmmakers there wait years just to get funding for a project. Nah, I can't do that. I've been told about 5, 6 stories in that 4 or 5 years waiting.
Be sure to look this sister up. She's in Chicago.
Cynthia Boykin.
Chi-Town.
Chi-Town. Okay. How you doing, Sister Boykin? How you doing?
She's got a brand called What You Need Is.
What You Need Is. Okay.
I had a good question for you. You were talking about the filmmaking process, and you told me that it took you 3 years. You mentioned Netflix. I remember being on you on those 3 years because I'd almost given up because the project was taking so damn long. Did filmmaking, was it worth the hiatus that it forced in other areas of your life? I mean, when you were doing that film, you really couldn't do anything else.
And here's why it took so long. Going back to my point that I made about pre-production, not enough time spent in pre-production. And we were all over the place with that first film. In all honesty, we were all over the place because we wanted to cover violence, the juvenile justice system, as well as education. As you can imagine, that's a lot to cover in one film, and different topics to touch on, and a lot of bouncing around. That's a long film, which is why we decided to do a documentary series as opposed to cramming everything in one film. We were all over the place trying to make that film because it was our first time. We were just trying it. We didn't know exactly what we were doing. We just, all right, we have these skills and we're going to make it work. We're going to study, but we're going to make it work. And that's what we did. So we took as much time as we did because of our lack of preparation and pre-production. We didn't know exactly what we wanted to do. We learned.
I thought you was being smart.
Huh?
I thought you was just being smart.
Nah, that's what it looked like. Nah, it wasn't.
I was thinking he can't afford to be away from the scene for 3 years. That's really what I was thinking. You over there in the lab, stick your head out, do something, give a party, let them know you're still alive and relevant. Was it worth the 3-year hiatus?
Oh yeah, yes it was. Yes it was. Because it's not always about quantity, it's about quality. And I don't mind staying away and keep my head down for a year to work on a project, a good quality project, then popping it back up when it's ready. I don't mind that at all. I mean,
was it worth the return? Did you get the return on your investment?
Absolutely, more than I thought I was going to get.
Tell me about that.
More because again, Justin and I, this is a project that we birthed, and we didn't know what we were going to do with it. Other people had to tell us the worth and the value in it. We were pure storytellers, journalists. We just wanted to tell a story. So we didn't have the necessary business acumen to know how to market, how to promote, how to identify a target audience, how to make the right connections to screen the film, where to screen the film, who to screen the film for, who would the film resonate. We ain't know none of that stuff.
Where did you do your screening?
We did a screening at Johns Hopkins. We did a screening at Morgan. We done a screening at the At-Risk Youth Conference in Savannah, Georgia. We did a screening at the National Association of Black Social Workers Conference.
It was one in Baltimore that really caught my attention. Was there one at a theater in Baltimore?
Oh yeah, it was at the Creative Alliance. We did a screening there at the Creative Alliance.
I got a good memory. Creative Alliance, that's down there with the non-black people at North and Charles, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. North and Charles. No, man, you're talking about a different theater. You're talking about the Charles Theater.
What happened to your video? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Okay. My laptop was dying. I had to get some juice.
Okay. Well, did you ever do anything at North and Charles?
No. We did something at Creative Alliance.
Where was that?
That's on Eastern Avenue, Southeast Baltimore. Come on, get it together. Get it together. At Southeast Baltimore.
Matter of fact, Impact Hub wasn't even at North and Charles at the time.
Nope, not the time I bleached. No, it was not.
So I
Matter of
want to
fact,
go
when
back.
we premiered the film at Morgan's campus. That's where we did our first premiere. Big turnout, huge turnout.
I want to get back to something I've raised in the very beginning.
Mm.
What advice do you have to your millennial political leaders?
You know, Donnie, and I appreciate that question because I was watching your show a couple of months ago. Michael Eugene Johnson was on, and was, you know, he was sharing his thoughts on the political landscape in Baltimore, as well as how public safety should be addressed. And what stood out to me the most on that interview is, um, there's a clear difference, and it's not something that's wrong with it, but there's a clear difference in terms of generations, and how different generations in Baltimore look at the best pathway forward. And I didn't know how stark it was until I heard that interview. That, oh, okay, you know, because we both, yes, we both can agree public safety, it should be a priority. However, how to address it, we have different views, and there's nothing wrong with that. That you know, of course, that comes with the territory, and this becomes so important because if we don't learn from our past, then we're doomed to repeat. We all know what happened in 1999 when O'Malley was elected mayor of Baltimore City. He came in on a tough on crime, you know, platform, and I'm a clean up the streets, and I'm a make Baltimore right. And folks supported that. Who wouldn't, right? Who don't want safe communities and neighborhoods? Who don't want to sleep peacefully at night? Not too many people gonna raise their hand and say no. So he came with this platform. Folks bought into it. But I think the problem was that came about is folks not being clear on what they want and what they were asking for. You know, because if you're not clear on what you want, people gonna give you what they think you want or what they think you need. And people don't prioritize the interest and the well-being of Black folks. Let's be very clear. That never happened in politics anyway. They prioritize their interests. And so there was a price to pay. So here we are, fast forward to 2021. And as we've heard some of our political leaders talk about, Donnie, these conversations that you and I had, when Baltimore was being ran the way, you know, your generation wanted to be ran, we were little boys, we were kids at the time, and all we could do is go along with the flow. And we
Sure. I'm not sure what that means.
No, just in terms of you had political leaders from years back that, like any generation, you determine the course of the city, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. Determine the course of the city that led up to where we are today. Now, here we are. My generation is taking the helm and responsible for what the next 20 years of Baltimore will look like. Rightfully so. But what I wanted to point out is clearly there's a difference on how we should get there.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
You know, the approach. I don't believe a tough on crime strategy is effective.
Do you believe people riding dirt bikes, running into people's cars and getting off and pulling off on these people? Do you think that's effective?
No, but let's look at this. Let's look at this, Donnie. Does that amount to?
And ladies and gentlemen, this is where the fight broke out.
Is that important in a 10-year-old girl getting shot? Is that important?
It's all interconnected. It's interconnected.
No, I don't think it's connected. I don't think that's connected. No,
There's
I don't.
lawlessness in these streets, Bobby Marvin. What part of town you in?
Northwest Baltimore, but Donnie, Can we
It is
really
lawlessness.
Donnie, and this a difference, and this is the difference in generations.
They're shooting girls in the head, Bobby.
Sure, should we prioritize dirt bike riding?
Bobby, they're shooting. I ain't talking about the dirt bike.
So we really prioritize dirt bike riding
in the head.
Okay, you put up the dirt bikes, Donnie. You put up the dirt bikes, Donnie, and I'm addressing what you said. So we prioritize dirt bikes.
That's not even a conversation.
So let's leave that out of it. Let's leave that out of it. Now, if we want to address 10-year-old girls getting shot and killed, let's talk about what matters most, not dirt bikes. Let's talk about what matters most.
It's interrelated. When you let people do what they want to do, then other people become emboldened to do the same thing.
So what's the answer, Donnie? We tried locking up hundreds of thousands of black folks. It didn't work.
I'll answer your question very gratefully.
We tried that approach, Donnie. We tried it with the O'Malley.
I'll answer your question.
We tried it with the O'Malley administration.
Can I answer your question?
And the city got sued for it too.
Can I answer your question?
Go right ahead, Donnie, but the facts are the facts.
I don't know what facts you're looking at. How old were you when O'Malley was mayor?
Oh, wow. I think I was about 17 years old when he got elected.
Okay, so
like I said, we were kids. We were kids.
O'Malley was not supposed to happen. Kurt Schmoke should have had a black person to pass the ball to, as was done in Atlanta, in Washington, D.C., and when he did not have a succession plan, when we do not prepare someone to take our place, then you end up with a Martin O'Malley. And to be clear, people voted for him not about his stance on crime. A lot of black women voted for him because they thought he was cute. Fact. When he came in with zero tolerance, it swung the pendulum all the way to the right. And where we are today, you swung the pendulum all the way to the left. So to answer your question, the answer is somewhere in the middle. Baltimore is an aggressive town. You're not going to get people off the corner with that kumbaya, would you like to go to Bible service with me tonight type of approach. It's an aggressive town. That's why we like the Ravens. It's a hard town. All of that, sir, can you get off the corner? I don't understand that mentality. I told you get off the corner. When I come back, if you still here, you getting locked up. What are you standing on the corner for? Nothing good happens from standing on the corner. My father taught me, and everybody else's father taught them. And if you do stand on the corner, you got to survive the frisk, because you're going to get frisked. Why? Because you
stand on a corner. They have a right to be frisked because they stand on a corner. They have a right to be frisked.
Why are you standing on the corner?
Because you stand on. Hey, I could be waiting for the bus.
That's a different story. I'm talking about people who stand on the corner all damn day, Bobby. And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
I've been harassed by the police for less, Donnie. I've been harassed by the police for less.
Okay. And
I've been harassed by the police for less.
What were you doing?
I could tell you, I was coming from a press conference. Matter of fact, Elijah Cummings, Congressman Elijah Cummings, was holding a press conference, the Black Male Identity press conference that was being held at the Arc Social Club on Penn and North. I'm coming down. I was with.
What year was this?
Ron, it had to be I want to say it was either 2010, 2011, if I'm not mistaken. I was with Ron Williams. Him and I was coming from the press conference. Got pulled over on Pennsylvania Avenue. The police officer asked me, Where are you coming from? Oh, we're journalists. We're coming from a press conference. And then seconds later, he asked me, do you have a gun in the car? And I paused. The same look that I'm giving you, I was dumbfounded. Like, I just told you I came from a press conference. I got a suit on. And the press conference where Congressman Elijah Cummings' Secret Service men are there. And I'm coming from a press conference with a gun on me. I'm literally down the street from the Arc Social Club.
Well, you was on Pennsylvania and Cumberland. Do you know what goes on in Pennsylvania and Cumberland?
So that means I should be subjected to being pulled over.
It might help explain the level of aggression.
Aggressive and unnecessary policing.
It was unnecessary. Was the cop black or white?
It was a white one. Matter of fact, it was commander, had a white shirt on. It was commander. Commanders wear the white shirt.
You got pulled over by a commander?
The supervisor. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In 2010, who was the mayor then? Stephanie Rawlins Blake?
If I'm not mistaken.
O'Malley was 99. Sheila was 7 to 9. That might have been Sheila. She was 07 to 09. And then who was after Sheila?
Stephanie Rawlins Blake. Yep.
Who was doing Stephanie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just trying to gather.
I'm just used to your point of someone standing on a corner, and somehow that means they are subjected to being harassed by the police because they're standing on a corner.
Bobby,
I'm just trying to make sense of what you're saying.
Bobby, don't play dumb with me.
I'm just trying to make sense of what you're saying.
You understand exactly what I say. Don't stand on my damn corners.
Don't stand on the
damn corner. Go to work or go to hell home.
So you're supposed to be harassed.
Bobby. Stop justifying dumb stuff.
Justifying
standing on the corner, you gonna have a problem.
But what's the crime?
Your crime is your ass being lazy. Go do something with your life.
Says who? Says who?
Says me.
Hey.
Get off the damn corner. Your mother ain't raised you to stand on.
And that's the difference in ideology, Donnie.
Your mother did not raise you to stand. Well, you know what?
Because somehow that is Donnie. That's what we worried about. We worried about dirt bikes and people standing on corners. I see why the homicide rate the way we are. We're policing corners and dirt bikes. We're policing corners and dirt bikes, Donnie. That's where we are. I see why the homicide is high. We're putting resources for investigating into corners and dirt bikes. That's what we're doing with our time and our tax dollars. Let me be very clear.
We didn't get to the other issues. I nailed those off the top because those are issues that young people talk about. For the record, riding a dirt bike
on the corner.
Time out. Let's go back to your dirt bikes. When a dirt bike guy runs into somebody's car, jumps back on that dirt bike and pulls off, who gets to pay for that?
Donnie, clearly that's a problem, without a doubt. Clearly that's a problem. No. Clearly that's a problem. But Donnie, are we really going to? Should we prioritize again with a budget that's over half?
You didn't have to tell my generation not to stand on the corner.
With a budget that's over half, with a budget over $500 million already, we're going to take our time out. We're going to take our time out dirt bikes.
There's more to the scenario. Number one, we don't have recreation centers like we used to. In my day, the recreation centers served as home away from home. They had everything that you need. Your generation doesn't know about that. We grew up in the
There's nothing wrong with dirt bikes, Donnie. Folks been asking for years to build a dirt bike park. Folks asked for that for years.
I was a part of it.
Where's the dirt bike park?
I led the charge.
And we have not seen a dirt bike park yet.
Ain't my fault. But meanwhile,
I'm gonna go further.
Don't hit my car with the dirt bike.
Where are the resources for B360 Baltimore, which is led by Brittany Young? Where are the resources that a program? No, it's not. It's all related. A program that's dedicated to teaching skills to people who are interested in dirt bike, people who are in dirt bike culture, teaching them skills and teaching them STEM. Where's the funding for programs like that?
Let me tell
If
you
we're
something
so
about it.
concerned, no,
Let
Donnie.
me
If we're
say
so
something. See,
concerned,
you got the wrong one. Do you want to let me answer?
Donnie, if we're so concerned
Or
about
you want to let me
it,
answer?
invest in the
Are you
solution.
go? Okay.
Invest in the solution.
When you finish, I'll say something.
Okay, if we're going to have a serious conversation, then we need to invest in the solutions. B360 Baltimore is one of the premier programs in Baltimore City that's engaging youth in dirt bike culture, teaching youth how to fix dirt bikes and teaching them STEM. The young lady was just on a
What
national
are they teaching in STEM?
STEM
They teaching STEM.
engineering, engineering with dirt bikes.
STEM.
Yeah,
Okay.
STEM.
Well, this is ironic because quite often, out of that very conversation, is people saying, I'm not college material. But you just mentioned STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. You know what I find? We got a lot of people that know a lot about nothing.
Mm.
You can't stray but so far from the basics. The basics never change. Because part of this today is, okay, well, I'm not college material. But you telling me the cats on the dirt bike is learning STEM. It's antithetical to what you're saying. So why not just go to college, or why not just go to auto mechanic school? You just told me.
Why not build this program up that I'm talking about? Make sure it's implemented.
I have no problem with it.
You got to meet youth where they are. If this is what they're interested in, why not implementing? How about implementing this program in city schools?
No.
How about implementing these programs in city schools?
No.
Where they can learn this as a part of the CTE program. You got where they can learn this in CTE programs. How about implement this program, invest in this program, so youth can have the platform that can build up. So when they graduate, they have the skills and they have the resources to go further with mechanic engineering, particularly around dirt bikes in Baltimore, which obviously there's a market for it. Obviously, it's the strength of Baltimore. It speaks to the culture, and there's an economic engine for it. Why not?
I think your generation has the whole hierarchy confused.
Hierarchy confused? How?
Yeah,
so?
I'm gonna tell you. Thank you for asking. As a parent, as a grandparent, as someone older than my children and my grandchildren, I'm not asking them. I'm not asking them nothing. I'm telling them. Today, you have children calling the police on their parents. Some parents probably deserve it. But call the police on my mother and see where your black hind parts will be. See, now we've empowered a whole generation of entitled people. Not just black, white, Asian, Latino. Like somebody owe you something. You owe yourself. And there's a parameter already set out. You go to school, you go on with your life. You don't want to go to school, then more than likely you're going to end up in jail. When I think back to this place, Tulsa, do you know that they ensured that the young people in Black Wall Street went on to college? I'm a huge proponent of college. When did that stop being the norm? Because you hear somebody say, oh, I ain't made for college. You ain't made for college. It's an excuse. Now 60 is passing. 60 is passing. So you got people graduating who can't even sign a check. And you think that's cool. Just let them meet the youth where they at. I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm trying to show you the way how to be self-sufficient.
How is that not the way, Donnie? I just gave you,
because you can't tell me.
I gave you a skills program, a Bible program.
Do you think in my generation?
I just gave you a solution.
I got one question for you. Do you think people in my generation ever saw a dirt bike?
They got one today. Baltimore youth didn't create dirt bikes, Donnie.
dirt bikes are not new. Do you know what my mother said when I said, matter of fact, I already knew not to ask her for no dirt bike.
Okay.
You know why? Because they're illegal.
Oh, okay.
And your mother's not going to give you something to go out there and break law so she could then have to find bail money to get you out of jail.
Okay. Now look at this. So what you're saying is for black youth, for black youth, illegal, but for white youth, motocross, it becomes $100 million business, $100 million industry.
Then get into the industry, brother. Get into the industry.
And $100 million industry that's dominated by white boys. It's beautiful for them.
Come
on, stop making for them, but for black youth, you can't. You not
stop making excuses. If you want to,
it's not excuses. What you're saying is,
go through the process.
I say to you, I gave you a concrete, viable solution. I gave you a concrete, I didn't give you a pie.
You gave me an idea that's been floated for 20 years.
I gave you
Jack Young. I was with Munir in 2010.
I gave you 360 Baltimore. I gave you 360 Baltimore
in 2010. We took the idea to City Hall. Nothing manifested.
Again, Donnie, I told you about
nothing manifested. Jack
Young. About 360 Baltimore. I told you about B360. I told you about Brittany Young. I told you the work that she's doing. She was just on a nationally syndicated program talking about the work she's doing here in Baltimore.
Okay, what program she's doing? I live in Baltimore.
Now
I don't care what she was.
And questioning it, are we going to invest in those programs and create opportunities for black youth? That's the question.
Hey, bro, I'm the biggest proponent of entrepreneurship and self-determination.
And into these problems, you're not giving me anything but the same old. You have not given me anything, the same old that have been proven that does not work. If locking people up in Baltimore, we would not be having this conversation. If locking people up, where's the evidence that says locking people up will work? Where is it? I don't see it.
You're trying to put words in my mouth, and you're trying to
saying, Donnie, I don't see it. You're not yet giving me a solution.
So let me look at let me get an assessment of your millennial leaders who are currently leading the city.
You want my assessment of the leaders leading the city?
Because clearly I don't know the answers.
I don't put
No. These are your leaders. They all yours.
They the cities.
No.
Mine, yours.
O'Malley, Rollins, Blake. You said my generation. Look at your generation.
Donnie, in all fairness. In all fairness, okay? In all fairness.
Oh, now you want fairness.
Brandon Scott just got into office in December.
God damn, he's been in politics.
Realistically,
Donnie, he's been in politics 10 years. Come on.
Yes, be realistic here, Donnie. Come on now, Donnie. Come on now. Donnie, come on now. Who controls? You say, and I'm not an apologist for Brandon Scott. Brandon Scott can speak for himself. I'm not an apologist for Brandon Scott. He don't need me to speak for him. He has a spokesperson. He has a whole office dedicated to speaking for him. But I'm practical though. We're talking about issues in Baltimore that goes generations deep. I don't expect anybody, Stephanie Rollins, Blake, Sheila Dixon, anyone who just step in and able to turn things around in a matter of 8-9 months. That's not being realistic. We have decades of problems. That's not being realistic. And especially the way our government works and how it's set up.
Like the people before.
It's not realistic, Donnie.
It sounded like the people before. All through these campaigns, these people made promises. They said they knew what to do. Brandon's got 10 years of experience. And let me tell you, I ain't got no particular beef against Brandon. Actually, I'm more disappointed with Jack Young, who's been in politics 20 years, and then the mayorship falls in his lap, and he plays like, what do I do? What do I do? I thought that was just egregious. Never went to college.
Well, Donnie,
how do you be in the city council for 20 years? Can I say something? How do you be in politics for 20 years, even 10 years, and not have a plan? And, you know, you don't get no pass just because you're new. You've been there 10 years. You've been there in the loop for 10 years waiting for your shot, waiting for your shot. You finally get the shot. Oh, I need more time. Come on, man. Let me tell you something. When O'Malley became mayor, they was locking up cats off the break. Not that I agreed with it.
But that's that, Donnie, and that's what bothers me.
Not that I agree with it.
That is the only solution that you offer. That is the only solution that's offered. Is
you're not listening. He was too far to the right. Today is too far to the left. The answer is somewhere in the middle. But right now, ever since Freddie Gray, you have cops who have taken a knee. You have no police protection in Baltimore at all. As a taxpayer, that's unacceptable. You cannot call the police today. Somebody going to get murdered. That's the only way you're getting a cop to come out. Freddie Gray, consent decree. Leave him alone. Let him tear it up. Let me tell you something. You got a daughter or you got a son?
Daughters.
You got daughters.
Mm-hmm. Donnie, I think when you look at that issue, particularly around policing, man, you're right. We're taxpayers. Tax dollars go to public service.
The summer gun broke in my house right now. The way it is, you can't even kill them. The police not coming, and you can't kill them. The working person, the citizen, is more likely to get into trouble than the criminal. The criminal can go squat in a vacant house and get mail, one piece of mail, and declare ownership. Meanwhile, they closed 2 schools of the 3 in Sandton. There's no market between Lexington Market and Mondawmin. No market. So it's an education desert, it's a food desert, and you think I give a rat's ass about a damn dirt bike?
That's the point I was making, Donnie.
I don't care about a dirt bike. You got the wrong one. Because
that's the point I was making, Donnie.
If that's what you want to know, I want our young people to get the opportunity, who want the opportunity to go to college, who want to go to trade school. Okay?
Donnie, let's be very clear. Donnie, let's be very clear, okay? Because
you push
Donnie, I work with these youth in Baltimore City.
I'm older than you. I'm older than you.
I'm on the front lines with you.
I'm older than you. I've seen it much longer than you.
But I'm the one that's working with these youth day in, day out.
I've never worked with youth. Are you serious?
And let me be clear, Donnie. Let me be clear, Donnie.
Bobby, we got a prison ministry. And let me tell you, a cat locked up over the jail over a dirt bike. You know what he wish? He wish he would have did something else.
And Donnie, let me be the one to tell you. Let me be the one to tell you,
that's
brother.
What they tell me. I don't know what they tell you when they locked up, but that's what they tell me.
Donnie, I'm gonna be very clear with you, brother, that the expectations that we may have may not be shared by the youth today. And we need to have to get out of this mindset.
It starts with the parents. See, I had a father and a mother, and there were rules. And that's what you don't have today. No rules. And a mama can only do but so much. When that boy turned 13, he's physically stronger than her. The real issue, Bobby, is a lack of fathers because so many are incarcerated.
Donnie, come on now, Donnie. That's Donnie. Donnie. No.
You have your right to your opinion.
We have so many single black mothers across this city.
No joke. Across America. Across America.
That holds it down. I've worked with them and had intimate conversations with them.
But that's
I cannot say, oh, the reason why Baltimore is falling apart because of the single black mother. I cannot and will not say
Hey,
that.
brother, it takes two people to make and raise the child.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I also,
And the
and what
black
I
family
also say,
has been
and
under attack.
to challenge that, because like I say, it's all about narrative. And to challenge that narrative, I also know a good amount of positive, responsible black fathers that are involved in the lives of their children and are involved with the community. I know a good amount of black men in Baltimore that's doing that. Should I rattle off names? I know a good amount of black fathers who are heavily involved and want the best for Baltimore. That's the story that people don't talk about enough. A great deal of fathers who want the best for Baltimore and want the best for their children. They're just not highlighted. Again, go back to that narrative. Who tells the story? I'm not going to perpetuate the pathology of black people. I'm not going to do that as if I don't know better, and I do know better. There's a plenty of black folks, black fathers in Baltimore doing a hell of a good job.
You kind of saying this like I don't know this.
Well, we need to inject that into the conversation, don't you think?
Bobby, I've mentored you in media.
Sir, like I said, don't you think we need to inject that in the conversation?
I've been doing it for 27 years, right?
It'll be antithetical to what you taught me if we don't do it, right?
Bobby, I've been doing that for 27 years. At the same time, can I say something?
Go right ahead.
We must use our critical thinking.
Absolutely, always.
So you're telling me to put away critical thinking?
No, come on, Donnie. Come on, Donnie. Come on, Donnie. I didn't say
you're
that.
Telling me put away critical thinking and okay our young men standing on corners. It's not happening today, tomorrow, anytime.
Well, I'm trying to understand what that has to do with homicides, Donnie. Stay focused on the problem.
Well, maybe you study crime a little bit. Maybe you spend some time in the hood and see what happens when people stand on the corners all day. Nothing good comes from standing on the corner. Nothing. And check this out. Do you want any of your daughters dating one of those dudes?
Donnie, yes, where's the proof that that's contributing to homicides?
Do you want your daughter dating any dude standing on a corner? Yes or no?
Donnie, where's the proof that that's contributing to homicides? Where's the proof?
Well, this has been a wonderful hour. I guess our questions are up. We've been talking with Bobby Marvin. How can people get in touch with you, Bobby?
Absolutely. You can reach me on this platform, Bobby Marvin Holmes. I'm also on Instagram, Bobby M. Holmes, as well as Twitter. You can visit my website at sonofadream.com.
Any final thoughts?
Thank you, Donnie, for the invite, big brother. Always a pleasure to connect with you. It took years for this conversation to take place. And it definitely shows the growth in our relationship, and the growth is me as your mentee. I thank you for all that you poured into me. Even though we respectfully disagree with each other, I got a lot of respect.
You know what? I've just changed my mind. Baltimore, you want to stand on the corner, sell dope all day? Knock yourself out. Feel free.
I respect the work that you
want to ride dirt bikes? Do what you like.
I respect the work that you do. And it's okay. The thing is,
and you know what? The hell with college, Baltimore. Don't go to college. Just stay home and watch Jerry Springer.
You're being ridiculous. No, I didn't say any of that. You're being ridiculous now. I just thank you for the opportunity.
Because I got a German Shepherd waiting on that hind parts. And Bobby, I suggest you get yourself one. Because when Pookie come over there with his pants six inches below his knees, talking about Mr. Bobby, where your daughter at?
Well, I just have a different conversation with Pookie.
He gonna take her to a black restaurant on the back of his dirt bike, and you better not say nothing.
You a fool.
Hell, they might as well get married on the dirt bike.
What is with you with dirt bike in corners?
They gotta get married.
The dirt bike in corners is not the peril of Baltimore.
Rules. See, back in the day, if you get somebody's daughter's pregnant, they will put a shotgun in your back. The problem is, Bobby, a part of the problem is we got a lot of unwanted babies. You got babies making babies, and it's turning to generational. So If we keep turning our head and playing like we don't understand, what you got to have rules, son. Every society has rules. You got to have expectations.
Should we prioritize dirt bikes?
60 is passing.
So we prioritize dirt bikes though, Donnie?
60 is passing.
Donnie.
That means they got damn near half of it wrong.
Donnie, I'm not saying the Baltimore City schools don't have challenges. Trust me. I know they have challenges.
Everybody get passed this year.
Yeah, it's we in a rocking up between a rock and a hard place.
Baltimore got no Fortune 500s. You know why? They don't come to cities where you ain't got people graduating. They don't come to cities where the crime is through the roof. Fortune 500 companies ain't in Baltimore. That's all I'm saying.
We got a lot of work to do, Donnie. We got a lot of work to do. I know we can't arrest our way out of it.
I never said that. Dude, I fought against the map. You don't know my track record, son.
We can't arrest our way.
Clearly, we stepped to O'Malley. But the pendulum now has swung all the way the other way. And it's lawlessness. Dude, I know cops. They are not doing anything at all.
Because they're being held accountable?
No. Nobody cares. Accountability is a fine line.
You know, Donnie, that's the thing that troubles me. My wife is a public school teacher, right? My wife is a public school teacher, right? She's a public employee, right? That she got to face evaluations and a whole truckload of expectations and accountability measures, right? And everybody in society is fine with that. I'm in support of accountability in our schools and with our teachers. But somehow when we have conversations about police, another public employee, when we have conversations about police being accountable for their actions, everybody loses their minds.
I ain't lose my damn mind. The police should be accountable. What happened to Trayvon Martin, Tyrone West, even Freddie Gray, a lot of these things were unnecessary. At the same time, Bobby Marvin, let me tell you a very important lesson my daddy told me. I'm going to share it with you again. You got to survive the frisk. Meaning, if you out there and you are delving and playing with the devil, you're bound to get in trouble.
What if the devil
with your damn life?
As you explained and laid out what's going on north in Cumberland, what if the devil is targeting you? We gotta be clear on who's the devil.
You are being targeted. You are being targeted.
Exactly.
You are. So don't go there. Go the other way.
So my thing is no. My thing is if you go police Roland Park the same way you police Park Heights, and I'll shut up. Police Roland Park the same way you police Park Heights, and you won't hear no word out of it.
I agree. I got white addicts in my alley. You can't tell me, son. You don't live around what I live around. I see the police let the white addicts go. I see it. You can't tell me. I see it. It's in my face.
I saw that too. Trust me, I saw that too.
You ain't seen it like down here. I think you up there in the neighborhood, y'all got bunny rabbits and deer, don't you?
Like I said, police Roland Park in Hampton.
Ain't no bunny rabbits and deers down here. All right?
Police Roland Park in Hampton the way you do Park Heights, and I'll be quiet.
That's a long story, bro. I agree, but it's a long story.
And my thing is, hey, if you're not going to snatch up whoever's standing on Roland and Cold Spring or Roland and Northern Parkway, if you're not going to snatch them up for standing on the corner, whether you're coming from Gilman or coming from Boys Latin, if you're not,
you play dumb like you don't know what I'm talking about. I tell you what, in an hour, you meet me over here in Pennsylvania and Lawrence, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. You want to play dumb.
Done.
Let me show you. I'm saying I'm gonna take you a couple of blocks.
Public employees. The police are public employees, right? We pay tax dollars, right? Okay. So if I go through your neighborhood and they say, oh, well, you riding through this neighborhood, so you have a right to be stopped. Okay, all right. Make sure that whoever's riding
you
the
want
road
to play dumb?
is the same.
I tell you what, I bet you this. I bet you don't stand on no damn corners.
Donnie, come on now.
Do you?
Come on now, Donnie.
Do you?
Donnie, there's photos and videos.
Damn well you
I'm answering your question.
Because you know you'll get locked up.
I'm gonna answer your question. There's photos and videos of me standing on corners. Except I'm standing on them, encouraging other brothers not to kill each other. There's actually photos and videos of me standing on.
No. I don't want that. I want you to come where we ain't taking no pictures because taking a picture gets you shot. I want you to come over here on the avenue and stand on the corner.
Come on, brother. Have you know my work? I've been all up.
No, this ain't for no social media. This ain't for no cameras.
No, brother.
No. Come with the dirty.
I've been places and done things in Baltimore with no cameras. Come on now, Don. They don't play me like that. I've been in places where no cameras.
You're justifying standing on a damn corner. Do something with your life. And if you got a way of reaching young people, you should be encouraging them to do something with their life too. I've never told you stand on no damn corner.
Donnie.
You're pissing me off.
Come on now. Because you're being ridiculous now. Is that
okay, well, stand on the corner. And maybe one
really hung up on it. What is this about this corner stuff that just got you so hung up? Like you're distraught over a corner. We got homicides to worry about, Donnie.
And they have nothing to do with the corner.
What proof? As I asked you before, you haven't given me what proof. What proof do we have to say, okay, this is the reason why homicides happen because these people out in the corner?
Bobby, you wasn't raised on no damn corner and you don't stand on no damn corners. Okay, stop being dumb. Have a good day. You've been watching Black USA. We'll be back tonight at 7 p.m. with It's Party Marty. Let's talk. You keep doing what you're doing.
You too, Donnie.